Hey guys, welcome into the 14. I'm Nick Cole, and we're breaking down each SEC football game in Week 10 from a betting perspective. Today, we're talking about the Mississippi State Bulldogs visiting the Arkansas Razorbacks. This game's going to be played at 4 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, and it's 3 p.m. local time at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It'll be televised on the SEC Network. From a betting perspective, this game opened with Arkansas as a 5-point favorite, and that holds true as of the recording on Thursday afternoon. The over-under opened at 55.5, and that also holds true as of our last check on that at 55.5. Bring in our betting analyst, Christopher Smith. Christopher, this game has the ability to be one of the better SEC games on the slate to watch, doesn't it?
Yeah, it should be. It could be very competitive, and regardless of that, certainly is a big game in terms of defining the narrative for both of these team seasons. So, interesting matchup. You think you're going to get your best effort, a focused effort on both sides. But Nick, tell us about the weather, injuries, and Nick's news and notes.
Sure. Let's start with the weather in Fayetteville on Saturday. We should have temperatures in the upper 50s at kickoff, and it's going to continue to fall, obviously, as the evening moves on. Probably finish the game in the lower 50s, upper 40s. But there's low wind and really no rain in the forecast, so it should be pretty clean to bet that one. On the injury standpoint, we don't seem to have much new on the injury front for either of these teams. Mississippi State running back Dylan Johnson may be one to watch going into kickoff, whether he's going to be available or not. And obviously, Mississippi State quarterback Will Rogers, who was dealing with a little bit of an issue from an injury in the Alabama game, certainly seems to be healthy after his last performance. So he's cleared the threshold of being concerned, I would say. On the news and notes standpoint, we'll start with Mississippi State and say this. Is this actually the best 3-loss team in the country? The College Football Playoff Committee thinks so. They may not be at the front of your mind when you're thinking of best in anything based on the way that they started this season, but they're number 17 in the initial College Football Playoff rankings that came out this week. And like I said, we're the very top rated 3-loss team. And they're even in front of several 2-loss teams, including Kentucky, who's number 18 on the list, who they beat head to head, obviously, last week in Starkville. Meanwhile, Arkansas, who has that same 5-3 record that Mississippi State does, is not in the top 25 at all in those college football playoff rankings. So something to think about from a where these teams are headed standpoint. Because my second question to you is on the other side of the field, did Arkansas find itself back during the bye week? Because it seems like yesterday that the Hogs were America's feel-good story, the Darlings at 4-0 and the number 8 team in the country. But the harsh reality is the Razorbacks haven't won an FBS game since September 25th, and we're here in November now. That A&M game was the last time they won an FBS game. So November presents LSU, Alabama, and Missouri after Mississippi State. You're looking at that 5-3 record. Hogs had a week to rest up, regroup, and they need at least one win to get bowl eligible. So no, we're not talking about it as a number 8 team in the country anymore. But what I'm wondering, Christopher, is this a team that can bounce back and look more like the team we saw in September? What do you think?
Yeah, I think certainly it would be very bad for, not for Sam Pittman, but I think the fan base would be extremely disappointed if they were to lose to Mississippi State and LSU. I mean, they're definitely losing to Alabama. You lose all 3 of those games and you maybe finish 2-6 in the SEC. And, Pittman will be fine, but I don't think the fan base will be particularly happy after the way the season started. But looking at this matchup, I mean, Arkansas is now 4-10 against SEC opponents under Sam Pittman, and that includes 3 consecutive SEC losses this season, as you said. And on SP Plus projects this game within 0.3 points, so basically a toss-up, even given that Arkansas is a home team. But Arkansas is playing it at home after a bye, and Mississippi State's got to be a little fat and happy after a pre-Halloween home win against a strong Kentucky team. They celebrated very, they were very happy after that game. So also considering Arkansas is off the bye, KJ Jefferson and Traylon Burks and a few other Arkansas players, very key players, especially on offense, have been dealing with some injuries. So I think the bye week and the spot in this game is certainly pointing toward an advantage for Arkansas. But Mississippi State's defense, I've said this, Nick, to you on our show a few times now, but their run defense is definitely better than their pass defense. And their run defense is actually good. 22nd in EPA per snap against the run. Arkansas runs basically 2/3 of the time. So 2 out of 3 downs, they're running the ball. And I do think that Burks could have a very big game. I don't think that Mississippi State's defensive backs are fast. I think they're a little slow. Burks seems to be very fast and is very good at hitting those big plays, especially when he's healthy. And I also think that Jefferson may be more of a force running the ball in this game now that he's probably healthier and coming off a bye week as well. So if Mississippi State dominates the line of scrimmage and kind of contains Arkansas's running backs, I still think that Jefferson and Burks could be pretty big for Arkansas's offense in this game. Now, what I found interesting is, I mean, this is a great version of the air raid. Let's be real and give Mike Leach some credit here, because outside of the Alabama game in which Will Rogers had a AC sprain in the first quarter, and who knows what would have happened. I'm not saying they would have won, but outside of that one performance, they've been pretty spectacular actually at executing what they do. And I think that includes completing 36 of 39 passes last week, which is, I don't know about you, Nick, but I would probably have trouble doing that on air in the backyard with some of my buddies. But, the thing is that Kentucky is 8th in 20-plus yards plays allowed in the country. They basically play a prevent defense. They drop a lot of guys deep, 2 deep safeties, and let you have underneath stuff. Well, guess what Arkansas does? The same thing. And they're 7th in 20-plus yard plays allowed. Basically, not the same schematically, but from a philosophy standpoint, nearly identical to Kentucky, which got ripped apart. Now, the other thing that I think you should give Mike Leach a lot of credit for is they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? And a lot of football coaches, especially in the SEC, are very stubborn men, especially if they succeeded and made millions of dollars and are leading huge programs for a lot of years. But Mike Leach, who has been that guy his entire career, he's gotten a lot of criticism, especially now that he's moved to the SEC, about being unwilling to run the ball. Last week, they ran the ball more than they threw it, or they ran the ball within 3. They threw 39 passes. I think they ran the ball like 36 times. So I think that makes Mississippi State even more dangerous on offense and even more of an efficiency machine, makes it even tougher. So, Nick, what are you taking on the side and the total in this game? How are you betting it?
Yeah, so I look at Arkansas and I like that they got the bye week just when they needed it to reset, get some guys healthy, get Jefferson back on track. And I just think this is a good spot for them to be refocused and ready to attack November at home. So give me the Hogs -5. And then on the over under, the total 55.5 feels about right to me. But I look at last year's game, Hogs won 21-14 in Starkville. And I think this game will follow somewhat of a similar script. So that was 20 points under that total. So I'll take the under for the purposes of making our picks here, but I'm not keen on betting either of these on my card this week. How about you?
Yeah, I think both offenses are magnitudes better this year than they were last year. So I will put down an under 55.5, but I don't feel great about it. And I do lean toward Mississippi State +5 for my own personal bets. Not just for I definitely like the side in this game a lot more than I like the total. I don't think it's going to make my main card, but if I was going to limit myself to only betting on the SEC, I may put in a play at Mississippi State +5. For Nick Cole, I'm Christopher Smith for the 14, and we'll talk to you next week.